Hi guys, welcome to another video. It's a long one, so get ready. Now onto the story from our ProRevenge. You, the bearded noob, don't wanna do your chores, son? Well, have fun being stuck at home. Paragraph DLDR at bottom. I hope this is appropriate here. So this story deserves some context. It's actually ProRevenge that my father did to me. Backstory. After I had graduated from high school and still hadn't found my calling, my parents told me I could live with them rent-free as long as I did one very important thing: helped out with the chores. Don't bring any girls or friends home after 9 p.m. and occasionally offer to help with the groceries for the week. The lead up. It had been about 3 months, and for the most part one was adhering to the second and third rule I was given. That all changed when I met my first adult lady friend. We'll call her Roxy, 'cause she was a pretty bad AF chick. Now Roxy was a super bad influence on me. She started getting me to stay out late, spend most of my paychecks on getting us booze and weed and such. I started slipping down a wormhole to which I almost wouldn't have returned from. My dad from time to time would remind me, "Hey son, you need to make sure you're helping with the chores and mind throwing $50 towards groceries this week," kinda reminders. That all changed after 3 months of being out of school and about a month and a half total of me knowing Roxy. We had come home from a concert in another city. For anyone who's my almost old fart age, it was a concert for Papa Roach, and she told me she was too tired to go home and she wanted to crash with me at my parents' home. The time, 2:30 a.m. We pulled up to the driveway and I told her to be quiet. Of course she wasn't, 'cause it was Roxy. Soon as we step inside the house and I've just locked the door, she starts screaming the chorus line from Twisted Sisters, "We're not gonna take it," at the top of her lungs. Like clockwork, my parents' light comes on and my dad comes out of his room like a fucking cheater. A fucking cheater, I tell you. He sees us both and looks back in his room. Turning his head around, he goes, "Take her home." Now, I immediately turn around and take Roxy home. She's all pissed and tells me I should stand up to my old man, yada yada yada. Soon as we get her home, I know I can't go home, so I stay at her apartment with her. The next morning there's a text on my phone: "Come home at your earliest convenience. Love, Dad." I know I'm dead because of my dad never texts me, and B, if he does text me, he's more of a John Madden play-by-play kinda guy. What I mean is he's going to give you a paragraph of words for what could have been a single sentence or two. I kiss Roxy goodbye for what I'm sure is the last time I'll see another human being and head home. When I get home, he's sitting at the table with a pen and a piece of paper in front of him. He tells me to sit down and then puts the piece of paper in front of me. The paper is an actual itemized list. He tells me that for the last month and a half I haven't done any of my chores, and that he's calculated based on the roughly 4 to 5 hours a weekend of time I wasted for him that amounts to his pay, which was $25.00 an hour. He's a RN, aka registered nurse, so he's taken 4 hours by 6 weekends by $25 per hour's pay and figured that I need to pay him $600 for time wasted. Then he's also for good measure thrown in an extra $100 for the 2 times he's asked me to for $50 to help out towards groceries. He gets up and walks over and says there is a dotted line for me to sign stating I will pay all of this back in 1 month's time. I'm adding it all up in my head and tell him I barely $1,000 after taxes a month. He says I have thought about that before I brought a girl home at 2:30 in the morning. He tells me if I don't sign this paperwork I have 30 minutes to get my shit and get the fuck out. I legit almost start bawling and tell him that I want to sign the paper, but could I at least have a month extension? He puts his hand to his chin thinking and then looks down at me and agrees. He says, "You have 2 months to pay me $600. Oh, and by the way," he purposely hangs this in the air for a good 20 seconds. "If you don't pay and you continue to break my 3 simple rules, there will be pain in your future." He revises the contract he's wrote up on the paper and I sign it. So a month and a half goes by and I've managed to pay him $450. I haven't seen Roxy as much over the 2 months because for obvious reasons her cash pit has dried up a bit. She then calls me on day 45 and tells me that she misses me. She wishes we would hang out. Why am I working so much overtime? I've told her that I have to pay my dad back or get kicked out. Of course, she ends up ending the call shortly after that and then it happens. She texts me the next day about a show in another city. I hear all the usual, "Oh, it's a band I really like. I've been wanting to see them forever, plus I miss snuggling up to you at the concert." I somehow stupidly agree to go with her. Well, while we're up there my wallet gets stolen out of my front pocket. To this day I think Roxy did it, even though I've never been able to prove it. We go home, I drop Roxy off and a few days go by. My dad comes knocking on my door as it's now officially day 55. He asks me do I want to pay him the last $150 or wait till the 2 months are officially up. I tell him I got him and that I'll go to the bank right now seeing as I just got paid the day before. I look around my room for my wallet, nowhere to be found. I go find the jeans I wore at the concert I was at with Roxy, no wallet in there either. It's worth noting I had and still have a terrible habit of leaving my wallet in my jeans after I take them off and forgetting that for several days. I start panicking as I cannot find my wallet anywhere. I check everywhere, the house, the backyard, my car, I even call the last place I was at work and see if they might have it. No one's seen my wallet. I go back to my dad who's in the backyard cutting the grass and tell him what's going on. He gives me a half grin and says, "Sorry for your situation, but I'm treating you like a tenant now. Go to the bank. Get my money and when you come back and pay me the $150 we'll go from there." I haul ass to the bank and my heart about falls out of my chest as the teller tells me my account has a balance of $3.42. My heart drops to the ground. Worth noting here it was a local bank that I've banked at since I was around 13. I was 18 at the time, so they all knew me at the bank and with some quick verification gave me info on my account. I head back home and tell my dad what happened. He puts his hand on my shoulder and says, that sucks. Well, you know I'm going to have to get my $150 still, right?" I tell him there's no way to have the money to him in 5 days or less. He says, "Okay, well how about I drive you to work seeing as you don't have a driver's license right now." He drives me to work, to which I'm there for roughly 8 hours. The revenge. While at work my dad pulled out his massive collection of craftsman tools and proceeds to drain all the fluids in my car. He gets a buddy to come over and help completely remove my motor, my transmission and my tires. My dad and his buddy, being an ASE master mechanic, managed to do all of this in an 8-hour shift of me being at work. At the end of my 8-hour shift my dad is in the parking lot waiting for me. He's in his work overalls, which I find funny, and he's got grease all over his arms. He drives me home and I notice my car is pulled into the garage and on jack stands. I look at my dad and ask, "What's up with my car?" He points to the garage. "Oh, go ahead and see. I've got my $150 today." I jump out of the car as it goes into park and run over to my car. There's a note on the front of it from my dad's mechanic friend stating the motor transmission and tires have all been sold to him for $150, and that he'll happily not only give me back the items but that he'll help me install them back into my car, but that I have to work for him on my 2 days off for the next 4 weeks from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. I fall over crying obviously, and after my dad laughs a bit tells me my first shift starts tomorrow. It is further worth noting that my dad actually owned this vehicle and it was titled, tagged and licensed in his name, so, technically, he could do whatever he wants with it. He had just chosen to allow me to use the vehicle as mine. I would spend the next 4 weeks working with my dad's mechanic friend on my days off. After 2 days of working, we'd bring a few pieces of my car back to the house and he'd teach me how to put these items back together. And slowly but surely I learned how to be my very own mini DIY garage mechanic. This may not fit here, and my dad did pro-revenge me because shortly after I lost my car, Roxy dumped me, and of all things my dad took 6 months out of my life to teach me how to be a somewhat responsible adult. Oh, and the icing on the cake, soon as we had my car back together and running, my dad walked up to me and gave me an envelope with $450 in it and a note that said, "Stop being a knucklehead. TLDR, lived at home with my parents after high school. Wouldn't help do chores, brought a girl over past their don't bring a girl home time, and wouldn't help for groceries. Dad gave me a contract to pay X amount for his time wasted. Broke the contract, so he and a mechanic buddy stripped my car to the frame almost. Made me work with the mechanic friend of his to earn back all the parts and help put them back on vehicle. Ended up teaching me how to work on cars and then gave me back my money in the end." Edit. For some clarity. Edit to my edit. Thank you so much for coins, the love and words of awesomeness. My dad could be tough at times, but he's always been fair. Nothing, and I repeat, nothing he ever did was unwarranted. I was for a time living rent-free as an adult, and all he asked was for me to clean the bathrooms, vacuum the rooms with carpets, not bring girls' friends home all hours of the night, and help out with groceries every once in a while. As an adult, I honestly deserved way worse than what I got. Hell, the adult 37-year-old me would've kicked my 18-year-old self in the ass and said, "GTFO out of my house, you ungrateful shit." Edit to my edit to an edit. Holy rusted metal, Batman. Platinum. You sir or mama far too generous. For all those curious, have shown my dad this post, and being a mid-60s-year-old man who doesn't really use social media a lot, he just says things like, "Oh, that's nice," or "Okay, cool. Greatly appreciate the kindness and comments." Final edit. This happened in 2001-2002 time period, and I've become so complacent with texting that I totally forgot it was text messages via a pager and not a phone. It even kidding my memory inserted T-Mobile Razr flip phone into the memory and that I got the text on it, but now that someone asked, I had to dig and remember that it was a Motorola pager. The one with the big screen where it could have a full text message on it. Bye, see you in the next video.